My name's Jake Vance, and I'm telling you this because the police report is a damn lie. They said it was a gas leak, a fire. But what happened at my father's estate, what he did to me, that was no accident. My father, Arthur Vance, was a king in his own mind, ruling a tech empire from a Gothic mansion in rural Maine. He was obsessed with his legacy, you know, and with not dying, ever. He brought in this woman, Evelyn, called her a spiritual consultant. She had these cold, knowing eyes, and she was always whispering to him, always carrying these old leather-bound books. It started getting weird when I saw them with a drifter Dad's security dragged off the main road. The guy wasn't scared. He just stared right at my father with this pitying smile. The drifter looked right past my dad, right at me, and he said, "You don't have tomorrow, kid. You're already dead." Then they dragged him into the woods. My father just shouted, "Get rid of him! Get him off my property!" He was so spooked. I'd never seen him like that. He locked himself in his study with Evelyn for the rest of the night. A few nights later, I couldn't sleep. I heard chanting coming from the old wine cellar, the one Dad always kept locked. I picked the lock. God, I wish I hadn't. The air was freezing, and the smell like ozone and spoiled meat. They'd painted these glowing symbols all over the floor in something that looked way too much like blood. And these orbs, like little iridescent soap bubbles, were just floating in the air around my father's head. He was sitting on this stone chair, eyes wide, just staring into nothing. Evelyn saw me. She didn't scream. She just smiled. And my father's head snapped around. His eyes were just milky white. "Jake," he yelled. "It's time." I tried to run. I really did. But the guards were waiting for me in the hall. They grabbed me. I didn't even get a chance to scream before they put a cloth over my face. I woke up in the cellar, chained. My own damn father was standing over me, Evelyn next to him, holding this ceremonial-looking knife. "Father," I asked him, "what the hell is going on?" He wouldn't look at me, just stared at the glowing glyphs on the floor. Evelyn whispered something in a language I'd never heard before. It sounded wet and wrong. "No!" I screamed as the security guy held my head still. I felt the cold steel trace a line across my throat. And then this numbing warmth spread everywhere. I watched my own blood drip onto the symbols, making them pulse brighter and brighter. The last thing I saw was this tall, hooded shape forming in the corner of the room. I felt my heart stop. Evelyn shouted something at it. "We offer this life for the kings, a son for a father." My dad just pissed himself, shaking like a leaf. Some king. But the thing, it didn't take me. It just looked at me. And then the orbs popped like 1,000 tiny balloons, and the shape was gone. And then I took a breath. A horrible, ragged, gurgling breath right through the hole in my throat. Oh God, I was still alive. I was alive. They didn't let me go. They just left me there, chained in the dark. Every night they'd come back down, my father's eyes getting wider, more insane, Evelyn just watching. And every night, those damn bubbles, those orbs, would float in under the door. A little gift from the thing that wouldn't let me die. A reminder. After a few weeks, I started hearing others. They brought more people down here. Kids from the local shelter, I think. Runaways. No one would miss them. I'd hear Evelyn's chanting, then the screaming, and then silence. And my father's health never got any better. He was just feeding his fear, and the monster in the dark was letting him. I started getting visitors. In my head, anyway. It was the drifter. The guy they dragged into the woods. He'd just stand in the shadows of my cell, smiling that same damn smile. "What will you do now?" he'd ask me. "Tomorrow is dead. Yesterday is dead. Hell, you're dead too. So what are you gonna do?"
Will you quiet?
A year passed. A whole year in that damn cellar. I was just skin and bones. I got so thin, my feet could have slipped right out of the cuffs. But I didn't have the strength to stand. Then, one night, the whole house started shaking, shouting from upstairs, the sound of sirens getting closer. The local sheriff finally put it together, I guess. The missing kids. The strange deliveries to the Vance estate. The kingdom was coming down. The cellar door flew open. It was my father, dragged by his last two guards. He looked ancient, a walking corpse. He fell on his knees in front of me. "Why are you killing me?" he sobbed. He actually asked me that. "Why won't you just die?" I didn't have the energy to answer. I just touched his cheek. "I leave it all to you," he whispered. Then the guards dragged him away. They left the door open, my one chance at freedom, and I couldn't even crawl. Then the real noise started. Battering rams, gunshots, screaming. It sounded like the whole world was ending right above my head. I heard Evelyn scream a final, awful curse. Then a loud crunch. Then my father. One long, terrified scream that just cut off. The fighting stopped. Silence. Then applause. Wait. No. That wasn't real. That was in my head. The orbs floated in through the open door. Hundreds of them. They filled my cell, dancing around me, warm and bright. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, and I heard the drifter's voice, one last time, clear as day. "What will you do now?" And for the first time, I knew the answer. I smiled. I took a breath, a real one, deep and clean. And strength, oh my God, the strength flooded back into me. I felt my skin tighten, my muscles knit back together. It was like being born. My throat, the scar was still there, a pale white grin under my chin. But it didn't hurt anymore. Nothing hurt anymore. I stood up. The chains just fell away. I walked out of the cellar, out of my tomb. The house was a wreck, a slaughterhouse. Bullet holes, blood, bodies of cops and my father's men everywhere. It meant nothing to me. I saw what was left of my father, slumped on his precious throne. The king of nothing. I picked up his mangled crown and just let it crumble to dust in my hand. I walked out the broken front doors for the last time. It was almost dawn. One of the SWAT guys, a survivor, was leaning against his truck. He saw me. He raised his rifle, shouted something. "Freeze!" I think. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. He saw I wasn't just a victim. He saw what was floating around me. I just smiled at him. And then I walked away, down the old service road I'd never been on before, into the woods. He didn't shoot. He knew it wouldn't do any good.